and that's how it finished, 4-2 to Scotland. A few moments that got a little scary for you guys watching that, especially for you, Stevie. I know that was the case, but this is how things do end in the table. It is Scotland who have qualified. They'll be going directly to the World Cup next year. Denmark will have to take the playoff route. All right. Didn't make it easy.
Well, I can tell you the final group game for qualifying for 98.
Hello, Frank.
Hi, Frankie. The final group game qualification for 98 was a lot easier than that. It was Latvia at home, and it was nothing like that. That was an amazing night. I mean, I don't really want to dwell too much on the football side of it, because not for the first time Scotland haven't played particularly well. They've done that a lot in this group stage, by the way. Haven't played particularly well against Greece and others, but yet have managed to drag out results, and that's what they did again tonight. I mean, even with 10 men, Denmark played the better football, but that was just an amazing... Bearing in mind, as you mentioned, 28 years since France 98, where Frank and I played, and Frank won it. You may have heard that story.
Did he?
Yeah, and so to have those celebrations is amazing. We broke with tradition today, just before we came on this show, because you took a little picture of Stevie and I, and I sent it to Stevie Clarke, just to say congratulations from two guys from Ayrshire to another guy from Ayrshire. Yep. We're all lived and born within sort of 20 minutes of each other. Stevie was my teammate. You know, I was a youngster coming into the Chelsea team when Stevie Clarke was one of the experienced players, and he kind of took me under his wing a little bit. And you can't not be happy for those scenes, because, believe it or not, even though he's qualified for the Euros and some other stuff, he's come in for a lot of criticism with the way they've played and with certain play. Why didn't he play Shanklin from the start? Why is he not playing? So he's had a lot of criticism, even though he's had some relative success. Now, this is the icing on the cake. Yeah, you've got to go to North America here in a few months and acquit yourself well. But that was the big one, because make no bones about it, Denmark were the best team, are the best team in this group, but Scotland got the better results.
What does it mean for Steve Clarke and that group of players then, Stevie? Because the pressure was really on them. They were at home tonight in a must-win game.
Well, it's a culmination of everything, and particularly what Craig was talking about with the fact that they haven't played well. You know, we've sat here over this campaign, these World Cup games, with Scotland fans booing the team at home because of the way they're playing. And so when you turn up and it's all or nothing, this is it. You know, winner takes all. It really doesn't matter a stuff how you play. It's not about playing well. Nobody in Scotland wants to play well against Denmark and get beat. And none of us could care less that Denmark were the best team. And none of us could care less that we kept giving the ball away. Do you know why? Because we stuck the ball in the net 4 times and Denmark only did it twice. So forget how you play. It's about getting to the World Cup final. And the fact that we've not been there for nearly 30 years, stuff the way you play, we got there, enjoy it.
But it was a fine line for the manager, because until Kieran Tierney there's 2 great goals. McLean, obviously fantastic. Tierney was the one that was probably going to get Scotland there. But if that game finishes 2-2 and Denmark only needed a point and Scotland were in the playoffs, Stevie Clarke's in for a rough morning with the media, because of the way they play and they approach the games. And you could feel it in the crowd during the game, particularly when Dorgu scored the equaliser. But for long periods where Denmark were passing it around, you could just feel the tension of, why can't Scotland play better? Why can't they pass it better?
It made the changes at the right time. Yeah. Because we were screaming at the TV, right, we need to get forward. You can't win the game unless you're in the other half of the field. And he made the changes. He brought on Shanklin. He brought on Shea Adams. And so Stevie Clarke made the changes that made the difference. Now, there's no question the red card is as much of a reason why Scotland won this game and Denmark didn't. Because it completely changed it. Because at that stage, Scotland couldn't get the ball. We couldn't get the ball. And just that quick flick, that one decision from the referee, he refereed the World Cup final. And that decision, if you're Denmark, you're going to be questioning that forever and a day. But again, who cares? It's because Scotland are going to the World Cup.
But you think about it from a player's perspective. Since '98, okay, they were at a European Championship in the last few years. But I mean, they're great. That's great. But the World Cup is, it's the pinnacle for a player. I mean, yeah, you can win the Champions League when you're at Liverpool, and, you know, but playing for your country when you're growing up as a wee boy and you're 10, 11, 12 and you're watching these players go to wherever it is, you know, Spain or Argentina or Brazil and play, you think, mate, and for 20 odd years, there's been better players that are playing now, some of them, and they've not had a sniff to go. So these boys, most of them, will probably be in the squad. They're going to experience what this is going to be. It's going to be great here in North America. Yep. Big stadiums, huge crowds. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be fun, and they're going to experience that. And you know, from a player's perspective, at the end of your career, you don't want to sit back and say, "Oh, I wished I'd been at that World Cup." So they've done it. They have. Oh, it's not a pretty.
There it is. There's a teeth.
Well, obviously, the last time they were there, you were in the squad, Craig. What advice would you give them? You're obviously saying what it's like to play over this side of the world.
That was actually scoring against Norway in Bordeaux. You can see. Just going. Honestly, that experience for me, and that moment was surreal. You know, actually hitting the back of the net at a World Cup, and it meant something at the time because it drew us level with Norway, which kept us in it for the last game. And that feeling just of doing that at a World Cup, I just wanted to do it again. And you know, my message would be like to you know, well, like most other people, who says you've got to embrace it, but you have to enjoy it. Aye. You've got to go there. Have no fear. We opened against Brazil in Paris, which was the opening ceremony, so that was huge. But you've got to go and embrace it and enjoy it, and get the memories from it, and hopefully play well, because you don't know. Did we think in '98 we thought we'd be at the World Cup in 2002? I thought I'd be there. We weren't there. I never saw another one, and so you have to just go and you soak in what the World Cup is all about. Obviously, Frank's got that great experience as well, particularly in his own country. But you've just got to take a breath and go, this is one of the reasons why I play. And on another side of it, what about Scott McTominay? What about a lad who was basically shown the door at Manchester United and went to Napoli and is adored in Naples, scored that volley in the final, was it the final game of the season to win the league? Yep. Scored a volley, I would say not as good as this, but not far off.
And you're even making an exception for the high boot here.
Yeah. I'm going.
He's far enough away. There's nobody really.
He's so high, actually, nobody's making the challenge. But no. I'm being hypocritical. But the player himself, there's been very, very few occasions I've seen a turnaround and a player's confidence to go as a squad player from a struggling Man United to one of the top players in Italian football, and then have moments like this to get the bus rolling as he did in 3 or 4 minutes. What an amazing story. And
you're talking about him. He's one of the reasons why Scotland are there, his goals over this campaign. And
Steve Clarke had said today we need a good early start.
Absolutely, and they got that. But not only McTominay, but there's a generation of Scottish football players that have never been and played in a World Cup, as Craig's talking about. But guess what? There's a generation of fans that have never been there. They'll have heard all the stories for their granddad and their dad probably about, you know, going to Spain or wherever it was, and all the times they had, and they're like, we'd never get a chance to go. And so you're not only talking about a generation of players, you're talking about a generation of fans.
The only thing is, I don't know how half of them are going to get visas.
That's right.
Frank, you were watching as a neutral tonight. What did you make of the game?
Amazing, you know. Yeah, I switched on the TV and I said, well, what can I expect from that game? And I thought it would be an easier game for Denmark. They were better. Denmark were better, but the spirit, the heart, and the pride were Scottish, and they showed it from the first minute to the last. I mean, the first goal to the last goal. I mean, that's insane. The atmosphere. And while I was listening to Stevie and Craig, I'm so pleased for the Scottish fans, the Scottish team, and because it's rare to see a country, you know, after such a long time, you know, willing to go to the World Cup and enjoying so much that you support them. Don't forget that they beat the team that they was my favorites for the last World Cup, Denmark. But really, I was a little bit Scottish tonight. When I saw the goals, when I saw the atmosphere, and I say, that's what I love about football. It's what I want to see when I'm on my couch and I say, well, okay, I'm going to watch a game. That wasn't the best, perfect game, but because of the atmosphere, I say, no movies in the world can show you so much suspense, so much emotion that a game like tonight. And you see that. You see that on the eyes of everybody, even the players who, like us, which have watched like thousands of games in our lives. We enjoy that because that's special. Because of Craig, I had the chance also to text Stevie and to say congratulations to him. I had the chance and the honor to give him an award because he was named the best right back of Chelsea for the last century. He was my teammate. He was such a warrior and such a soldier, and I'm so proud and so happy for him. And I want to add, on top of McTominay, and today we scored a beautiful goal, I want to add McGinn. I mean, that guy is a monster. He's really somebody. The red card, the 2 yellow cards were on him. And what he does on the field since I've known him is really special. And today, he was a masterpiece again.
Frank asked me, just quickly, just before we came on air, he went, was Stevie Clarke in the 98 World Cup squad? And he wasn't. So he himself, unless he went to Italia 90, which I don't think he did, for him, I think this is going to be his first time now. Yep. Should he have been? He's one of those players. When we were talking about Grant Hantley during the game, and Stevie looked it up. He'd something like 65 caps. Yep. Likes of Alan Hansen and other greats for Scotland had a third of that. Stevie Clarke was, I think Stevie's in single digits for caps. He should have had 40 or 50. As Frank mentioned, he's voted as Chelsea one of the best defenders of a generation. But for one reason or another, and I know what the reasons are, some of them, but I'm not going to come out with it. But for one reason or another, personalities and whatnot, he wasn't involved, and he missed out in World Cups in Europe. He wasn't in the Euro 96 squad either. And he was better than a lot of the guys that were in the squad. So I think for him, he didn't taste that as a player, certainly not in the late 90s, and now he's going to taste it as a manager. And he said the other day, actually, in a press conference, he said, when I got offered this job, people were telling me don't take it. It's a poison chalice. It's really, a lot of managers have fallen foul of these Scotland teams, and they've been hammered and butchered and criticised. He said, don't take it. And he said, but I believed in myself, and I just felt that I could get a tune out of some of these players in this squad, and he was proven absolutely right.
They were referred to as the Hampden Heroes tonight by the commentator when that fourth goal went in. As you said, they're not going to be buying a drink for a long time, but this is going to now be a generation.
They don't buy drinks anyway.
This is going to be a generation that's going to be remembered for a long time because of this, right?
Well, yeah, we're laughing at Hampden Heroes, but again, from the fans' point of view, that's exactly what they are, and that's what the kids and all the young guys that you saw and the young women that were at this game, that's what they'll be thinking about. To them, this is fantastic. To us, it's just a funny cliche.
And if somebody wants to break my record playing for Scotland, they feel free.
Which record?
Not the scoring the goal.
There was only two of you, right, that scored?
Yeah, he got sent off.
There was only two of you that scored in 98.
No, he got sent off.
So,
the sending off as well.
Yeah, I'm looking for somebody to wipe the slate clean of me being the last Scotland player to be sent off at a World Cup. But maybe, hopefully nobody will do that. Just in case.
Yeah.